Hey, peace and blessings to you. My name is Jerry B. I am the entree musician, and so are you. And so is this wonderful young sister that we are going to have a great conversation with. Now, let me tell you, you've heard of triple threats, right? Okay. Margret Avery is a quadruple threat. She's a actor, she's a singer, songwriter, and she is a poet. I don't know how she does it, but we're going to find out. I'm so grateful to know her. Her name is Margret Avery. Welcome, my dear sister. How are you?
Oh, thank you, Jerry. What a wonderful introduction. I really appreciate it. Thank
Well,
you.
you're more than deserving of that. I can tell you, I remember being very much enthralled with you, and I can't remember where, or I should say when I met, if it was before the shutdown or after, but I think we met on LinkedIn, if
Yes,
that's my
we did. We,
recollection.
we met on LinkedIn. Yes.
And I'm telling you, I visited your website. I saw your demo reel. You were such a force on camera. It's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. You know, the
Oh,
first question that came to my mind though, when I obviously you were on Artist Impact, and we'll talk about that wonderful video that you presented to us, very heartfelt video. But I was wondering, the first question that came to my mind when I went to your website is, who is she? I mean, she does all of these things so well. How do you compartmentalize? Who are you, Margaret, actually? All of them or one of them?
I'm all of them. Um, my brain is pretty busy. So I never want to have a lot of music or any sounds around me at all during the day because I have a lot going on and dissecting, like what's next? What do I want to do? And
Mm,
as far as the poetry goes, I will tell you that sometimes I just get this overwhelming feeling of something that I have to say. And I
hmm
just take pen to paper and I just start writing. It's like automatic writing. I just keep going, keep going, keep going. And then I'm like, okay, that's done. And sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and there's like this idea that's popped into my head. I have to write it down, write it down, write it down. I wake
hmm
up in the morning after going back to sleep and I'm like, wow, look what just happened, and it feels like another person wrote it. but
Wow.
I but I did it. And I have so much that I've written that I haven't completely organized yet. So
hmm
every day is so different. The way
Yeah.
I deal with it is this: if I have something to do musically, like if I'm going into a recording studio or if I'm doing a little performance like I recently did, I spend a lot of my time just focusing on that. That's my main focus. Like I
Yeah.
have to make sure my voice is in shape, I have to make sure I have everything memorized, yada yada. If I'm doing an audition for film or whatever, it's then that takes a lot of my focus, to make
hmm
sure I have the lines down, I have the character down, etc. So that's how it goes. And every day is different. And I just, am flexible with it all because there's really no other way to do it.
Do you find that you have one passion over the other, or is it just on a daily basis? I am Margaret the actress. I am Margaret the songwriter, or it just weaves and.
It weaves in and out.
Mm,
It's all the same. And I don't feel one more than the other necessarily. I mean, it's all so intertwined because music is what brought me into the world of acting. And then when the acting bug bit me, it bit hard. And
mm,
so I have to be part of that world. I met so many great people. I do play readings on occasion, and it's just so much fun.
wow.
And I love the community of people that I've met, and I just am enjoying myself. So being creative on a daily basis is my MO. I mean, that's it. It
Wow.
doesn't really matter which capacity or which one is on the surface that I have to get to first. It's something that's creative, and it's my charge. It's what gets me going every day. So yeah.
Amazing. Now, I know that you are in New York. However, I believe that you have your roots where I am in Ohio. Is that correct?
Yeah. Lorain, Ohio.
Wow, that's right down the street. I'm in Youngstown, Ohio, so that's fantastic.
Yes.
So, Let's talk a little bit about your formative years. You said music brought you into acting. So let's talk about that when you got bit by the music bug.
Yes, well, that happened in New York. Actually, when I
Oh.
was a child growing up in Ohio, I did sing. And, I did little performances, in school and this and that. And then I had a little girl group I put together. And then somewhere along the way, stage fright just grabbed me
Hmm.
a little too tightly. And I
Wow.
just thought, I don't have to worry about that. I'll just go on with my life. I'll go to college. I'll do other things. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I was I came to New York to go to Parsons School of Design. And I remember when I studied fashion design, and I remember my roommate hearing me sing while I'm sitting there stitching away, my garments. I'm singing and humming up a song. And she was just like, "What are you doing with that voice?" And I said, "Nothing. What are you talking about?" She said, "You have this great voice." And I thought, well, yeah, kind of, I guess. And so, through a variety of circumstances, I got led to a vocal coach in New York City, and I started to study voice again. And then it sort of really reignited the passion for it.
Mm.
And one thing led to another. I needed to really hone in my craft a little bit more and understand my own voice and what I wanted to do with it. I had no idea. I started working with a great pianist. I needed a accompaniment and did some shows around New York City for a long time. I went to Paris at one point because I thought maybe I'll just be a jazz singer, because
Mm.
a lot of the songs I've done and have recorded are more in that genre. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember going to a lot of rooms in Paris and meeting people. And one night, a friend in Paris invited me to go out and hear Duke Jordan play. And she said, "But be aware of the fact that if he finds out that you're a singer, he's going to ask you to get on stage." And I'm like, "Oh, no, 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 no. I'm in Paris just having fun. I just want to check out the scene. I'm not sure this is where I want to go, what I want to do." And don't you know, I'm sitting in this restaurant, I'm at the bar having a glass of champagne, and I turn and there's Duke Jordan and the owner of the restaurant speaking right behind me. And we all started talking together. And of course, he found out I was a singer because he wanted to know why I was there. And he knew my friend Emily Lucas, who was writing for jazz magazines at the time. And she's the one who invited me. He's like, "Well, you have to get up and sing." I'm like, "Oh, no,
Ah.
no, no." And he was insistent, just like she said. He was absolutely insistent that I get up on stage. And so we went back and forth about picking a song that we both knew and the key that would be right. And then in like 2 seconds, he's like walking to the stage to introduce me, and I'm like, "Oh no, he's not doing this. He's doing this." I didn't have time to be nervous. It's just like, forget the nerves. That went out the window. And so
Right.
we did this song, and it was really fun. Like, everybody in the room thought that we had been performing together for years or whatever. And I ended up meeting everybody in the space. It was a small room, and I
Mm-hmm.
had so much fun. It was a great memory. And when we were done, I remember that Duke came off the stage and he put his arm around me and he said, "I want my picture taken with you because you're going to be famous." And I thought, "Oh my God, he just said that to me." And our picture was taken, but I never saw the picture. And I kept, emailing and calling and to find out how could I get this picture. I never saw it, but it's okay. I have a great memory. It was a great experience. And
Yeah.
I decided after all of that was over and I came back to New York that I just had this burning sensation inside of me that I had songs to write.
Hmm.
And I didn't know where they would go, how that would open up as the new journey for me. So I was working with a piano player at the time, Daryl Kojak, and he had some beautiful music that he wrote that didn't have any lyrics to them. And
Mm-hmm.
when I heard the music, I said, "I hear the song, I hear the lyrics." And he was like, "Okay, write them." So I did. I mean, the words just came out like in minutes. And then I recorded them. And then that's how it started, that journey. And then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I would write lyrics and then he would write a melody to go with it. It
Yeah.
became a mixed bag of things. And it just keeps going. There twists and turns throughout the years of how you create a song. And that's the beauty of it. You just have no specific formula, what comes
Yeah.
first, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there are times where I guess I can say that I've written a poem, but I'm not a poet.
Hmm.
And the one question that comes to mind is, how do you know when it's a poem or if it's a song? I mean, does your heart just tell you? Does the melody flow with it? What happens to separate the
Well,
two?
yeah, poetry is a whole other, it's a whole other thing. It's a whole other aspect of writing, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. And um, that's a really good question. I have written a song or two out of my poetry where I've extracted the words to create the lyrics. Because, lyrics have to flow and make sense and
Yeah.
work with music and all of that. In poetry, it's like a rhythm. It is at the same time somewhat musical,
Mm-hmm.
for me anyway, and how it comes out. But there are words that can rhyme or not rhyme, and it could be prose or poetry or both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mix. Uh, that's hard for me to analyze it 100%. I just
Mm-hmm.
know that from myself, it comes flowing out, and I have no control. I
Mm-hmm.
just can't control it. It just comes streaming out of me, and I can't stop it. I don't want to stop it
Yeah.
because sometimes a lot of poetry comes out of me that's very thought provoking. Um, like I wrote a poem uh, that I read for a group of actors called Sandpaper Highway.
Mm. Yeah.
It's a good title. And you would
Yeah.
think, oh, that means the road is rough. Well, actually, it's not in the poem. I don't have it in front of me to read, and I don't have it memorized. I'm sorry. But
Uh-huh.
um, anyway, it's very specific, in writing a poem. Yes, I find that there are words that rhyme. For me, I find a lot of times it's the last two words or two sentences where there might be a rhyme. It just seems to come out that way.
Yeah.
And you can extract, I say every musician just write and write and write and write, every lyricist, and see what you can extract from what you're writing. It comes from your experience in life,
Yeah.
I find. Um, and whether it's poetry or not, there's always something you can take from your life experience to put into a song,
Mm-hmm.
right? I
Mm-hmm.
just think
That's true.
that's what we do. We live, we write, and we create a song.
Yes.
And yeah, so there you go.
Now, how much of your works have been published? Your poetic works.
Some of my work is on a website called femininecollective.com that was created by Julie Anderson, a supermodel who's a friend of mine. And
Mm-hmm.
they also published two books. So I'm in two of their books. So I'm in the
Excellent.
process of working on, I have copywritten one book of mine. It's right there, sitting
You
over
want to go
there.
get it? You want to go get it? Can you go
It's
get it?
called, it's called it's just in paper. It's called The Descent. What is it called? The Descending Ascending Spiral of Love and Self.
Wow. Say that again. The
The,
ascending.
the Descending and this, let me get it.
Yeah.
Can I get it?
Yeah. Yeah. You can get it definitely.
The
Uh huh.
Descending Ascending Spiral of Love and Self.
Beautiful.
So I'm working
Beautiful.
on getting that published, and that I had that copy written a few years ago, and then I forgot about it. See, that's what I do. For years and years, I wrote a ton of poetry, or I would write things down on like napkins in restaurants and stuff like that, and I shoved it like all over my apartment. It would be in my lingerie drawer. It would be in a jewelry drawer. It would be like all over the place, and one day I woke up and I said, I've written a lot of things. I should just, pull them out of the drawers. And I had a couple of notebooks and all the papers. To this day, I still
Hmm.
find something hidden in a file somewhere that I've written.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, and,
Wow.
uh, and part of that had to do with the fact that I was not knowing what to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know if it made any sense for me to keep it, to publish it, to share it, to read it for anyone. And what happened to me is when I put all of this together, I realized that they're poems. I mean, they all come out like poetry. So
Yeah.
one night I got together with some girlfriends for, drinks and dinner, and we're sitting in someone's apartment, and I printed out like 3 or 4 poems to test the water to see what they thought, to get some
Yeah.
feedback, because it's always when you feel very kind of isolated as a writer, poet, musician, you're not always sure how it's going to be received.
Right. Right.
And so when I met them and shared the poetry, they were kind of silent after I read it. And I was like, oh dear. And then they said, can you email all of that to us? I said, oh,
Wow.
sure. So I emailed it to them. And then one of my friends said she printed it out and put it on her bathroom wall so she could read it every day. I was like, wow, okay,
Wow.
that's good.
Yeah. That is very good.
That's positive. And so it kind of spurred me on to just keep going, keep going, keep going. And
Yeah.
so my first compilation of writing came in, into this
Hmm.
little booklet, and I have a box full like this big
Hmm.
full of writing
Wow.
that I haven't organized yet or pulled together to make probably 2 volumes of books.
My goodness.
And out of all of that writing, I do believe there are songs in there. Like
Mm.
there are songs I feel there are songs that I can extract from some of the words and make something up. Have I done all of that with every song that I think is living? And it's no,
Right.
not yet. Not yet. It's a time consuming thing.
Yes.
I will get to it. So what I do is one thing at a, like I try to do one thing at a time. Yes, I carry around all of these things that I like to do,
Yes.
um, and then somehow they all come together.
Mm.
And yeah, so to get back to how music got me into acting, which you were curious
Hmm.
about,
Hmm.
um, one
I have to
year I was
ask another question though, because
yeah
of the poetry. Uh,
yes
you strike me then as, since you're writing all the time, a woman who journals. Do you journal as well? Which is another discipline.
not really. I
That's
suppose
interesting.
I could do more. My journaling is my poetry because
Okay.
my poetry is what ends up coming out kind of thought provoking,
I see.
more or less. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if I had, gosh, I don't know if we have time, if I could find here something for you to listen to that I could share. I didn't
Mm.
think about that in my poetry. Um,
Mm-hmm. I
but
was just wondering, with the box that's stacked up to here, it's just like, are you then chronicling your thoughts as well? What's going through, and
no,
compartmentalizing when I wrote that set of poetry, or these songs are for this, in a journal, just
no,
wondering.
I don't date anything,
I
which
see.
is, I
Interesting.
have never done that. Um,
Hmm.
and sometimes when I pull out a piece of paper and I see what I've written, I'm like, I wonder when I wrote that.
Or what about since their life experiences, categorizing them. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just you're triggering things in me, but categorizing them, that, well, this was what I was going through, or this happened then, and whatnot, and maybe allowing them to become the journal.
I never think of it in terms of a journal necessarily. I just, um, yeah, I'm trying to find something here for you to
I'd love to
because
hear it.
yes,
And then we can continue on with the interview of what got you into acting. But I don't know. You were just I was so fascinated by what you were saying, and how your girlfriends responded, and your
Okay. Well, here's another one I found that I
sure.
read for a couple of people that
Hmm.
uh, has had positive response, and it's called Cook the Revelations. Um, Opening it up right now. Hold on.
Okay.
My
And where can
computer.
that be found? Can that be found on a particular website, or this is just
Oh,
from
not
your
yet. No,
archives? Oh, okay.
no.
So we're
This
getting
is
an exclusive. This is an
you're
exclusive
getting
here.
this is like a rather new one. I wrote this just a couple of years ago. Okay,
Great.
so here we go. You want to peer inside my window to see what you don't know? Make sure you don't look away when you see the level of pain in mind, heart, soul, and body that doesn't really level off but sticks to my bones like a gelled sucker. You want to peer into the cause and see how you would deal differently? Then buckle up and pray you don't erase your memory of a life you can't wait to get back to. The stillness in not wanting to jeopardize one's own fate does not have a gate. There's only seasonal breaks like waves in the turmoil of storms. You will likely want to cry with what you see, but don't, as there is always room to be grateful for what one has under any circumstance.
Mm.
That gratefulness leads to happiness, and the happiness leads to contentment folded neatly under any circumstance in life's chapters. Wrap yourself in your own life and do not mutter words of regret, as they will tumble back and give you more to shape shift regrets into seemingly glorious days that could crumble on the spin of a dime and give you pause once again. Love who you are, what you have, and don't look over your shoulder to another window thinking it's a golden life. The gold is in you, like fairy dust that sprinkles every time you ask the unknown for guidance.
Mm.
Yes, the treasures are in you, around you, and about you. Stay in your home and cook the revelations that muster up little bubbles of thought in your imagination and see where you are guided. There is nothing you cannot cherish in yourself that will make you think another is more of what you seek in their life. Surviving bumps in your journey is the roller coaster ride to give thrills, scare you, shake you, and give you the ride of your life when you give in to the unknown moments and take risks. Take a step, one at a time. And see that? You just broke into a smile, and I caught some of your fairy dust. Shrug your shoulders if you must. However, dreams are real as you wake the opening to more. Enjoy your own path and share the full state of your newly found update.
Thank you very much. Your presentation of your poetry is also very excellent. It's fantastic.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
wanted to start doing a podcast of my poetry because everyone says that to read it is one thing, but then hearing me
Yeah.
recite it is something else. And
Yeah.
yes, that's also on the agenda.
That's that's fantastic. Now, does that poem have a date? When did you write
I,
that?
I wrote that in 21.
In
That's
21.
all I know. That's all I know is I wrote it in 21.
Fantastic. Absolutely. So yeah. I mean, I can see the schizophrenia of the perfection and all. Just fantastic. Amazing. Who is she from one moment to the next? Because she just launched into it. Boom, shoulders back, and you hit it. Like, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I have no control. I just have no control. I think once I learned to like give in to this
Hmm.
because it does feel like a gift
Yeah.
and embrace it and accept it and not judge it. That's a big part of it, not judging. Don't
Yes.
judge yourself or what you think you're doing. Like, I never know sometimes when I put pen to paper what's coming out. I have no
Hmm.
idea.
Hmm. My
Sometimes, like
goodness.
I said, I might get a thought and I'm like, oh, that's a nice, and then I start writing. And then the next thing I know, they're like 2 pages covered. I'm like, whoa. And then sometimes I don't have a clue. I'm just like, it feels like time that I should sit here. And then something just starts to flow through. There you go.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I appreciate that. Now we have to like put the train back on the interview tracks. Perhaps get through it, but you're giving me like 15 other questions to ask as we navigate the poetry, because that's one thing I don't think we um those of us who are not poets, let me preface it with that we don't understand that is so far different than songwriting or singing or recording or producing. And then there is the acting aspect of it, but just being drawn by this other that causes these words that flow out of you, which makes the abstract even clearer, is that's another science within itself.
Yes, and I know there's a song in Cook the Revelations. I know there
Mm.
is. There's a song in there. So it's just extracting certain words to help create the story for a song. So yes, in due time.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now,
Go on.
Margaret's in New York. She's gone to Paris. She's sang with Duke Jordan. She's
Yes,
mesmerized the club. She comes
yes,
back to New York. And
yes.
then the
And
acting
then
happens, or
yeah, well, I met these young gentlemen who formed like a theater troupe, if you will, and they knew I was a singer, and they said, "Would you be interested in auditioning for this sketch that they put together?" It reminded me of like Saturday Night Live sketches because they were
yeah.
just little scenes, and some of it musical and some of it funny, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of it funny actually. And I said, "Oh, sure, I'll audition. Why not? Like, what do I have to lose? I'll just audition." So I sang a couple of songs or one song, and they gave me like five different parts, I think, to play
Mm-hmm.
in all of the sketches, and I had way too much fun. The best part was there was a sketch that involved three or four gentlemen doing like oh, what was it? They were baseball players
Mm-hmm.
having like this, chat between them, funny dialogue, right? And one of the actors could not show up for the Saturday night. I was going to say Saturday Night Live show,
Right.
the the, the Saturday night sold out
The
performance.
skit. Uh-huh.
This yes. Anyway, so the director turned and asked the other male actors who would take his place, and no one raised their hand. And I'm like, guys, it's easy and it's
Mm.
fun. No one raised their hand, and so I raised my hand. I said, "I'll do it." And she was like, "Margaret, um, it really needs, you're a woman. You don't. We need a guy to." I said, "Watch this." I went into the back room. I pulled all my hair up in a baseball cap. I pulled the baseball cap down. I wiped off my lipstick and penciled in a mustache. And she
Ah.
was like, "Oh," she's like, "You're on." So I did the sketch on Saturday night, and there was someone I know in the audience, and she didn't recognize me. Her boyfriend didn't know that I was not a guy
Mm.
because I grew up with four brothers. So I did things like, like I just kind of stood back and forth like that, like, right.
You
And
channeled
they
a
were
brother.
I channeled a brother, and I had so much fun. Oh my god! And the director came running backstage after, and she was like, "Margaret, that was amazing. That was like the best I'd seen this sketch done." And I laughed so hard. I just had
Mm.
way too much fun. And like I said,
Mm-hmm.
the acting bug bit me hard
Wow.
because I enjoyed every second of it. So
Mm.
then I went on to do more things, some short films and off Broadway plays, and then I didn't do anything for some years. I don't know, I got caught up in other things in life,
Mm.
and then um, I came back just before COVID hit. I
Yeah.
came back into the acting world, and here I am, back in it,
Back in
auditioning.
it with a bang too. That's fantastic. My goodness gracious. Just the wealth of information. Before I ask you about, your appearance on Artist Impact and the one thing that intrigues me about you is how you curate all this together. So naturally life happens. Naturally there are circumstances where there are ebbs and flows, but as an entrepreneurial musician, I have to get the entree musician in there somehow. But as an entree musician, how are you navigating what happens with everything that you do into a consistent business? Again, understanding there's ebbs and flows, but I just like to learn about the experience of others and see
Mm,
how we as a community can grow, because that's how we grow. We grow based on what someone
yeah,
else may have tried and it worked or it didn't. And you go, okay, I can utilize that.
yes. Um, I guess I would have to say I'm not very regimented in some aspects. Um, I don't have any specific formula.
Mm,
I really go with the flow. And
gotcha.
I do put a certain amount of time in for the craft of acting because it is a craft in terms of what I read, doing play readings, studying. I have a great acting business coach, all of that to gain as much knowledge and experience to put back into the craft. So I'm feeling very prepared when I do an audition. When it comes to music, it's an ongoing practicing, keeping my voice warm, um, and ready to sing when needed. um, and then writing everything that I could think of that wants to come out of my brain that I can't stop.
Hmm. What do you think, with respect to your approach in any one of these disciplines? What do you find to be most challenging for you that you go, this may be an Achilles heel, and I need to tighten up on this, that, or the other?
Well, they all need to be tightened. And
Mm,
the reason I love all of it is because it's an ongoing process
mhm.
of being tightened up, if you will, because there's always something to learn. There's
Yeah,
always another part of the avenue to be stretched onto.
yeah,
And you're
yeah.
going to love this when I tell you that I wrote my first film that's actually going to end up being a web series.
Here we go. Here we
Yeah.
go.
Yes, I am with the company called Film IO, and I
Mm,
am one of their first film creators. I wrote this actually more than 10 years ago. Um, at the time, I was working with an acting coach named Paul Parker from Australia, and he kept encouraging me to write my own thing, whatever it
mhm,
was, film,
mhm.
play, whatever. And I just thought he didn't know that I write at all. I mean, he knows I'm a singer and I've written songs, but um, he was relentless about when I saw him you have to write your own thing. You have to. I was like, oh God, really? One more thing. So
One more thing.
one more thing. I don't. When am I going to do that? So I remember taking the subway home, and I came up with this idea, and I thought, hey, that's not a bad idea. Hmm?
Mm,
And then I didn't do anything for like 2 weeks. I didn't write it down. Did nothing.
yeah.
And then I woke up one morning and I said, it's pretty funny. It's a pretty funny thing. I should write it down. And then it just all came spilling out of me in 20 minutes. I wrote the whole thing down in
Wow.
20 minutes. It just came out. And then I found a script writer to work with. I did not want to write the script.
Mhm.
You know, Paul told me to make sure I give myself a role in that whatever I write. So I did. But I didn't want to wear too many hats. I think I wear a few already. And I was like, I'm happy to create this and write it and give myself a part. And so I found a great guy to, John Pastore, who wrote the script, and um, through some ups and downs of, either editing it down or making it bigger, we ended up sticking with what we originally had. And that's what I entered into Film IO. And
Yeah.
it's a new platform that's going to be bringing films to life in a different way from the regular format that has always been known in Hollywood. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy and proud to be part of their company. So yes,
Fantastic.
that's and I have to find time to start writing more because um, on the platform I get a lot of positive feedback from people about it, and uh, somehow it went from I thought initially it was just going to be a short film to now that's really like the first episode that's going to be part of a web series, which means
Awesome.
I have to sit here and start writing more, which I did. I already started writing more to build the story and make it
Man.
incredibly fun and funny. There you go.
So so tell me where that web series is going to air. Is there a website or
Well, right,
a platform that
it's well, nothing is done yet. We haven't done anything. I mean,
okay.
I have to get a film. I have to get a whole team together. I need producers. We don't have to, and we have to get the money behind it. Right now, it's just the writing stage, and film.io is the name of the company. So, any
Film.io.
of you filmmakers out there in the world, please go to their website and
Excellent.
submit your work. Yeah, they're open.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's excellent. And since you gave me an exclusive, I guess I'll have to say here and now that one of the things that we're beginning in June of this year, 24, and we'll begin taping those podcasts in April, but we are opening up what's called Director's Chair so that we can highlight indie filmmakers. So you're going to have to come back on for that. So this is the first time that I'm saying it publicly. I haven't made the announcement on any
Okay.
of our social platforms. So, but yeah, tucked away in this interview is a lot of exclusives. So there you go. But I
Oh,
need to ask you, we did have you on our sister platform called Artist Impact, the singer. Okay, we had
yes,
Margret Avery, the singer, who brought a very, very heartfelt video called Left Behind, song that
yes.
is presently available on your website as well. And I know that came from a very personal story. And I would just like to ask you is to share as much as you're comfortable with sharing and why that song really creates such an impact for so many who have shared the same experience.
Uh, I'm not going to share my personal experiences
Okay,
because I could never do it without crying buckets.
I understand.
And so I'm not going to do that. But I will just say that there are way too many people in the world in the present day that have
Mhm.
lost a loved one through gun violence. And
Yes.
therefore, I never thought in my lifetime I would see this and read about
Hmm.
it daily. It's too disturbing. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
and and sometimes people forget about like the parents, siblings, cousins, relatives who are like going through their day-to-day life trying to function with the lies this loss that's like devastated them.
Yes.
And like if you think about Sandy Hook or Uvalde, all these children, that it's just too much. It's too much.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I thought to myself, I don't have millions of dollars to give any of these organizations, but I could write a song. And so the premise was as a sort of a gift for those left behind, and that became the title, Left Behind.
Yes.
Uh, and I co-wrote it with Miranda Glory, wonderful artist in her own right. She does beautiful, beautiful music. So there you go.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what I did. And I've received some really great comments. In fact, more than one person has said to me they feel like it's an anthem for those left behind. I'm like, wow,
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
like the best compliment. Um,
It is.
so yeah,
It is, even though that did not begin as your intention for it to become an anthem. I think the natural osmosis is, there's so many of us, who share similar stories with regard to that. And unfortunately, um, it becomes a very real thing that you have to grapple with, not just once, but over and over as the
Yes.
memory of your loved one, um, you
And
know,
the memory is there. It's just there. It
it
just
is
sits
there.
there.
It is there.
And
Yes.
you have to go through your daily life and
Hmm.
go through the motions of living your life and keep busy and um,
Yes. Yes,
not
that's
mention
correct.
it, not talk about it, not bring it up because no one really wants to hear it. They
Mm.
really don't want. No one really wants to hear it. But thank God for organizations like I
Hmm.
think I wrote this down here, like the wonderful woman Shannon Watts, who created momsdemandaction.org. God bless her. She's like the warrior woman. She's like out there,
Yes, ma'am.
fighting for gun control. And
Yes, ma'am.
so people like that we need to
Yes, ma'am.
support.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Well, I certainly thank you for bringing that particular song to our attention and for sharing your heart as you have. And God bless you for doing that. And may this song really resonate and continue to spread and be a comfort. Because I do believe that. I believe that music is healing. And I'm speaking as a musician, obviously. But music here heals, it encourages, it strengthens, it builds up, and that's what this song does. So thank you very
yes,
much.
thank you. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Mm.
Now we're going to have to invite you on, 5 or 6 other times so we can talk to the other people inside your head, right? You're aware of that? I just want you to know. I mean, so this won't be your first, your only
Kidding. Yes.
right,
Oh my
right.
God.
Can I please interview Margaret the songwriter? That's that'll be my next call.
Oh God. I
If
just
that's not if that's okay.
Margaret the songwriter has a song sitting right out there on a keyboard that I started writing and I came up with an idea
Yeah,
and a great line for a verse and maybe a bit in the chorus. And sometimes a chorus comes first. You never know what's
that's
going to
correct.
pop up first, right?
That's
And
correct.
so, but it's still sitting there and I haven't finished it. I will get to
Wow,
it.
wow.
It
Well,
just, yeah.
I'm so incredibly grateful though that you've given us the time today to talk to a little bit of the poet and a little bit of the actress and a little bit of
Oh,
the singer. So we'll talk to the songwriter next time, and then we'll invite you back on when we do our director's chair so that we can talk to Margaret
yes.
the filmmaker.
Yes,
You
I
know,
can't wait because that's just like budding and growing as we speak, and it's kind of taking a life of its own that I didn't
hmm,
expect, and
yeah,
I'm holding on for the ride because you know what they say. What's that expression? Like if you don't know how to do something, just do it anyway. That's
exactly
what
right.
I did. I'm like, I don't know how to do it, but I have this really good idea and it's funny. Okay, there we go. So I'm hanging on. I'm hanging on. Is
That's what we all do. And I think that's the blessing of being an entrepreneur musician, an entree musician is you do it anyway. You do it because. You do it
yes,
because you can't help it, because it's in you
yes,
and you don't know why, so you try to work it out and you get better along the way. And
yes.
that's why I called you at the very beginning of this conversation a quadruple threat. We're going to add quintuple now that the filmmaker is on there.
Oh my God.
And
Yes.
the next time you come, we'll be putting up, both hands and a foot. She's doing this, she's doing that, you know. But I am
Oh,
grateful to you. I really appreciate you spending your time with us today. What a blessing you are.
oh, thank you. It's my pleasure, Terry. I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much.
And other than margaretavery.com, Film IO, is there any other place that you can recommend that people can learn more about you?
You can hear my music on Spotify. I'm on Spotify,
Okay.
Apple Music, Pandora.
Yeah.
I'm, kind of all over the place. I'm on Instagram. My Instagram account is Margret Avery 11, Margaret spelled with one A. And I'm not the biggest social media person. I need to work on that. But because girlfriend here's got to write.
Yeah. And she's got to arrange the writing she already has written. So,
yes.
well, peace
my
and blessings to you, dear heart. We will talk to you very, very soon. I mean that.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah.
Absolutely. I told you were going to enjoy this interview. Boy, did I have fun and did I learn a lot. That's Margret Avery. Visit her at margretavery.com. What an incredible force she is. And I'm sure that she said something, maybe even 3 things that resonated with you. That's why we do this. We are all over the place, entree musicians, and we dig it. We dig what we do. We learn and grow. And that's why I always say, my name is Jerry B. I am an entree musician, but here's what's most important. So are you. We will see you again next time. God bless.